Chapter 6 At 2 o'clock that afternoon, at Barris's suggestion, we gave up the search for the fountain in the glade and cut across the forest to the spinney where David and Howlett were waiting with our guns and the 3 dogs. Pierpont guyed me unmercifully about the dream lady, as he called her, and but for the significant coincidence of Isande's and Barris's questions concerning the white scar on my forehead, I should long ago have been perfectly persuaded that I had dreamed the whole thing. As it was, I had no explanation to offer. We had not been able to find the glade, although 50 times I came to landmarks which convinced me that we were just about to enter it. Barris was quiet, scarcely uttering a word to either of us during the entire search. I had never before seen him depressed in spirits. However, when we came in sight of the spinney, where a cold bit of grouse and a bottle of Burgundy awaited each, Barris seemed to recover his habitual good humor. "Here's to the dream lady," said Pierpont, raising his glass and standing up. I did not like it. Even if she was only a dream, it irritated me to hear Pierpont's mocking voice. Perhaps Barris understood. I don't know, but he bade Pierpont drink his wine without further noise, and that young man obeyed with a childlike confidence which almost made Barris smile. "What about the snipe, David?" I asked. "The meadows should be in good condition." "There is not a snipe on the meadows, sir," said David solemnly. "Impossible!" exclaimed Barris. "They can't have left." "They have, sir," said David in a sepulchral voice which I hardly recognized. We all 3 looked at the old man curiously, waiting for his explanation of this disappointing but sensational report. David looked at Howlett, and Howlett examined the sky. "I was going," began the old man, with his eyes fastened on Howlett. "I was going along by the spinney with the dogs, when I heard a noise in the covert, and I seen Howlett come walking very fast toward me. In fact," continued David, "I may say he was running. Was you running, Howlett?" Howlett said, "Yes," with a decorous cough. "I beg pardon," said David, "but I'd rather Howlett told the rest. He saw things which I did not." "Go on, Howlett," commanded Pierpont, much interested. Howlett coughed again behind his large red hand. "What David says is true, sir," he began. "I had observed the dogs at a distance, how they was a-working, sir, and David stood a-lighting of his pipe behind the spotted beech, when I saw a head pop up in the covert, holding a stick, like he was a-aiming at the dogs, sir." "A head holding a stick," said Pierpont severely. "The head are on, sir," explained Howlett, "and it held a painted stick. Like that, sir. Howlett, thinks I to myself, this here's clear, so I jumps it and runs. But the beggar he seen me, and when I come alongside of David, he was gone. 'Hello, Howlett,' says David, 'what the hell?' 'I beg pardon, sir.' 'How did you come here?' says he very loud. 'Run,' says I. 'The Chinaman is harrying the dogs.' 'For God's sake, what Chinaman?' says David, aiming his gun at every bush. Then I thinks I see him, and we run and run. The dogs are bounding close to heel, sir, but we don't see no Chinaman." "I'll tell the rest," said David, as Howlett coughed and stepped in a modest corner behind the dogs. "Go on," said Barris in a strange voice. "Well, sir, when Howlett and I stopped chasing, we was on the cliff overlooking the south meadow. I noticed that there was hundreds of birds there, mostly yellowlegs and plover, and Howlett seen them too. Then before I could say a word to Howlett, something out on the lake gave a splash as if the whole cliff had fallen into the water. I was that scared that I jumped straight into the bush, and Howlett, he sat down quick, and all those snipe wheeled up. There was hundreds, all a-squealing with fright, and the wood duck came bowling over the meadows as if old Nick was behind." David paused and glanced meditatively at the dogs. "Go on," said Barris in the same strained voice. "Nothing more, sir. The snipe did not come back." "But that splash in the lake?" I don't know what it was, sir. A salmon? The salmon couldn't have frightened the duck and the snipe in that way. No, oh no, sir. 50 salmon had jumped. They couldn't have made that splash. Could they have, Howlett? No how, said Howlett. Roy, said Barris at length, what David tells us settles the snipe shooting for today. I am going to take Pierpont up to the house. Howlett and David will follow with the dogs. I have something to say to them. If you care to come, come along. If not, go and shoot a brace of grouse for dinner, and be back by 8 if you want to see what Pierpont and I discovered last night. David whistled gammon and mioche to heel, and followed Howlett and his hamper toward the house. I called Yue-Laou to my side, picked up my gun, and turned to Barris. I will be back by 8, I said. You're expecting to catch one of the gold makers, are you not? Yes, said Barris listlessly. Pierpont began to speak about the Chinaman, but Barris motioned him to follow, and, nodding to me, took the path that Howlett and David had followed toward the house. When they disappeared, I tucked my gun under my arm and turned sharply into the forest, Yue-Laou trotting close to my heels. In spite of myself, the continued apparition of the Chinaman made me nervous. If he troubled me again, I had fully decided to get the drop on him and find out what he was doing in the Cardinal Woods. If he could give no satisfactory account of himself, I would march him into Barris as a gold-making suspect. I would march him in anyway, I thought, and rid the forest of his ugly face. I wondered what it was that David had heard in the lake. It must have been a big fish, a salmon, I thought. Probably David's and Howlett's nerves were overwrought after their celestial chase. A whine from the dog broke the thread of my meditation, and I raised my head. Then I stopped short in my tracks. The lost glade lay straight before me. Already the dog had bounded into it, across the velvet turf to the carved stone where a slim figure sat. I saw my dog lay his silky head lovingly against her silken kirtle. I saw her face bend above him, and I caught my breath and slowly entered the sunlit glade. Half timidly, she held out one white hand. Now that you have come, she said, I can show you more of my work. I told you that I could do other things besides these dragonflies and moths carved here in stone. Why do you stare at me so? Are you ill? Isande, I stammered. Yes, she said, with a faint color under her eyes. I never expected to see you again. I blurted out. I thought I had dreamed. Dreamed of me? Perhaps you did. Is that strange? Strange? No, but where did you go when we were leaning over the fountain together? I saw your face reflected beside mine, and then suddenly I saw the blue sky and only a star twinkling. It was because you fell asleep, she said, was it not? I? Asleep? You slept. I thought you were very tired, and I went back. Back? Where? Back to my home, where I carve my beautiful images. See, here is one I brought to show you today. I took the sculptured creature that she held toward me, a massive golden lizard with frail, claw-spread wings of gold so thin that the sunlight burned through and fell on the ground in flaming gilded patches. Good heavens! I exclaimed. This is astounding! Where did you learn to do such work? Isande, such a thing is beyond price. Oh, I hope so, she said earnestly. I can't bear to sell my work, but my stepfather takes it and sends it away. This is the second thing I have done, and yesterday he said I must give it to him. I suppose he is poor. I don't see how he can be poor if he gives you gold to model in, I said astonished. Gold, she exclaimed. Gold? He has a room full of gold. He makes it. I sat down on the turf at her feet, completely unnerved. Why do you look at me so? She asked, a little troubled. Where does your stepfather live? I said at last.
Here.
Here?
In the woods near the lake. You could never find our house.
A house?
Of course. Did you think I lived in a tree? How silly. I live with my stepfather in a beautiful house. A small house, but very beautiful. He makes his gold there, but the men who carry it away never come to the house, for they don't know where it is, and if they did, they could not get in. My stepfather carries the gold in lumps to a canvas satchel. When the satchel is full, he takes it out into the woods where the men live, and I don't know what they do with it. I wish he could sell the gold and become rich, for then I could go back to Yan, where all the gardens are sweet and the rivers flow under the 1,000 bridges.
Where is this city? I asked faintly.
Yan? I don't know. It is sweet with perfume and the sound of silver bells all day long. Yesterday I carried a blossom of dried lotus buds from Yan in my breast, and all the woods were fragrant. Did you smell it?
Yes.
I wondered last night whether you did. How beautiful your dog is. I love him. Yesterday I thought most about your dog, but last night...
Last night, I repeated below my breath.
I thought of you. Why do you wear the dragon claw?
I raised my hand impulsively to my forehead, covering the scar. What do you know of the dragon claw? I muttered.
It is the symbol of Yue-Laou, and Yue-Laou rules the Kuen-Yuin, my stepfather says. My stepfather tells me everything that I know. We lived in Yan until I was 16 years old. I am 18 now. That is 2 years we have lived in the forest. Look, see those scarlet birds. What are they? There are birds of the same color in Yan.
Where is Yan, Isanda? I asked with deadly calmness.
Yan? I don't know.
But you have lived there.
Yes, a very long time.
Is it across the ocean, Isande?
It is across 7 oceans, and the great river, which is longer than from the earth to the moon.
Who told you that?
Who? My stepfather. He tells me everything.
Will you tell me his name, Isanda?
I don't know it. He is my stepfather, that is all.
And what is your name?
You know it, Isande.
Yes, but what other name?
That is all, Isande. Have you 2 names? Why do you look at me so impatiently?
Does your stepfather make gold? Have you seen him make it?
Oh, yes, he made it also in Yan, and I loved to watch the sparks at night rolling like golden bees. Yan is lovely. If it is all like our garden and the gardens around, I can see the 1,000 bridges from my garden and the white mountain beyond.
And the people? Tell me of the people, Isande, I urged gently.
The people of Yan? I could see them in swarms like ants. Oh, many, many millions, crossing and recrossing the 1,000 bridges.
But how do they look? Did they dress as I do?
I don't know. They were very far away, moving specks on the 1,000 bridges. For 16 years I saw them every day from my garden, but I never went out of my garden into the streets of Yan, for my stepfather forbade me.
You never saw a living creature nearby in Yan? I asked in despair.
My birds, oh, such tall, wise-looking birds, all over gray and rose color.
She leaned over the gleaming water and drew her polished hand across the surface.
Why do you ask me these questions? She murmured. Are you displeased?
Tell me about your stepfather, I insisted. Does he look as I do? Does he dress? Does he speak as I do? Is he American?
American? I don't know. He does not dress as you do, and he does not look as you do. He is old, very, very old. He speaks sometimes as you do, sometimes as they do in Yan. I speak also in both manners.
Then speak as they do in Yan, I urged impatiently. Speak as
Why, Isande, why are you crying? Have I hurt you? I did not intend. I did not dream of you caring. There, Isande, forgive me. See, I beg you on my knees, here at your feet.
I stopped, my eyes fastened on a small golden ball which hung from her waist by a golden chain. I saw it trembling against her thigh. I saw it change color, now crimson, now purple, now flaming scarlet. It was the symbol of the Kuen-Yuin. She bent over me and laid her fingers gently on my arm.
Why do you ask me such things?
She said, while the tears glistened on her lashes.
It hurts me here.
She pressed her hand to her breast.
It pains. I don't know why. Now your eyes are hard and cold again. You are looking at the golden globe which hangs from my waist. Do you wish to know also what that is?
Yes, I muttered, my eyes fixed on the infernal color flames which subsided as I spoke, leaving the ball a pale gilt again.
It is the symbol of the Kuen-Yuin,
she said in a trembling voice.
Why do you ask?
Is it yours?
Yes.
Where did you get it? I cried harshly.
My
Then she pushed me away from her with all the strength of her slender wrists and covered her face. If I slipped my arm about her and drew her to me, if I kissed away the tears that fell slowly between her fingers, if I told her how I loved her, how it cut me to the heart to see her unhappy, after all, that is my own business. When she smiled through her tears, the pure love and sweetness in her eyes lifted my soul higher than the high moon, vaguely glimmering through the sunlit blue above. My happiness was so sudden, so fierce and overwhelming, that I only knelt there, her fingers clasped in mine, my eyes raised to the blue vault and the glimmering moon. Then something in the long grass beside me moved close to my knees, and a damp, acrid odor filled my nostrils. "Isande!" I cried, but the touch of her hand was already gone, and my two clenched fists were cold and damp with dew. "Isande!" I called again, my tongue stiff with fright. But I called as one awaking from a dream, a horrid dream, for my nostrils quivered with a damp, acrid odor, and I felt the crab reptile clinging to my knee. Why had the night fallen so swiftly, and where was I? Where? Stiff, chilled, torn, and bleeding, lying flung like a corpse over my own threshold, with Yue-Laou licking my face, and Barris snooping above me in the light of a lamp that flared and smoked in the night breeze like a torch. Faugh! The choking stench of the lamp aroused me, and I cried out, "Isande!" "What the devil's the matter with him?" muttered Pierpont, lifting me in his arms like a child. "Has he been stabbed, Barris?"